Good morning. My name is Mary Morris and I'm the superintendent of the Cheektowaga Central School District. This is our second town hall meeting for our families. First, I'd like to apologize for not being available on Monday. I did have a family emergency approximately an hour before that town hall. My father was rushed to the hospital with cardiac failure. He's stable now and in the hospital still, but that was why I wasn't here. But I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the new middle school principal, Mr. Patrick Cullinan. Mr. Cullinan has been in the district for approximately 6 years as an assistant principal in a variety of places, the alternative program, the elementary building, most recently the high school, and now he is our middle school principal. So welcome. He's going to take over from here. I'm going to excuse myself, and Mrs. Daniels, our new assistant principal in the middle school, will join the town hall. I want to say to everyone, thank you for your patience, for your questions. Every single day, I get some new nuance, new guidance from either the health department or state education department or Erie County's health department. So we are trying to keep you informed the best we can, as quickly as we can, as the regulations and the recommendations change. We're all in this together, and I'm hoping for a successful school year. Regardless of how it looks, we're going to be together and working to get quality, productive instruction for our children, and they're going to appreciate school, enjoy school, whether it's remote, hybrid, or in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morris. Good morning, everyone. As we wait for my assistant principal, Mrs. Daniels, who's been with the district for 2 years, to join me, I'd just like to start off by saying and reiterate what Mrs. Morris said. Every day we are getting new questions. We are getting new specifications coming down from the state regarding what we can and can't do. So this is an ever-changing process that we are going through, and we will continue to do it on a daily basis to make sure we put our safety of our children first and foremost. So now we will get into the questions, and as you know, you can send your questions via the link that you are watching, and we will answer them to the best of our ability. And we will begin now. First question: will 8th graders taking high school level classes be graded like the high school students are? So if you are in 8th grade and you are taking a high school level class, that class will be taught by a middle school teacher. You'll be graded by middle school teachers using middle school specifications. You will receive your high school credit as long as you are appropriate with your class and you receive the grade that you need. Next question: if I send my kids to school and after a few weeks I find that they are uncomfortable or it's unsafe, can I switch them to straight remote learning? This is a question we have received many times, and the answer is very simple. If you begin in-person schooling and you decide after a few days or a few weeks that is not what you want to do, you are more than welcome to join the remote learning. The one caveat is, if you are remote, you cannot join in-person schooling until the following semester if you choose to do so. So you can switch from in-person to remote, but you cannot switch from remote to in-person until the next semester begins. During specials like gym, will students wear masks, and how will they be protected if not? So masks will be required as soon as the student is on a school bus or as soon as the student steps onto the school grounds. They are required to wear a mask. The mask will remain on at all times until instructed by a teacher or an adult that they can remove their mask, whether that be for a mask break or whether that is a social distance activity they are doing and they are far enough apart. All schools locally have to follow the same guidelines. How are we opening and other schools in the area are choosing not to open immediately or at all? The governor's laid out the requirements and left it in the hands of each district to make that decision whether they want to open or whether they want to open in any way or form that they feel they are able to accommodate. At this time in our district, we are very confident that the method we have chosen, the hybrid, we feel confident that we can open this way, and we can have our students socially distanced, and we can have them protected and safe. If for any reason we feel that this changes, then we will definitely look at our plan and make adjustments to it. But at this time, we take care of what we can in Cheektowaga Central, and we move forward. Katie, would you like to answer a few?
Sure. Hello, everyone. How will students attend honor classes? Honor classes will be provided. Students will be following a normal schedule when they are in person during the hybrid model. If there is a surge of COVID cases in school, does the school have a plan in place for complete remote learning? If you access our plan on the district website, you could get further details, but the short answer is yes, we do have a complete remote learning plan. We also offer complete remote learning at any time for you to opt into right now and make that decision for your family. What is the outdoor activity listed on the in-person days? Okay. We are encouraging outdoor activity as much as possible, weather pending. We're encouraging teachers to take their students outside for instruction, as well as trying to block out outdoor recess time for students. We also have been speaking to the physical education teachers about hosting their classes outside when available.
I'll add, Katie, to that. When they are outside, they are going to be social distanced and they will have their mask on. If they are instructed to take those off, they can, but they do not have to. If a student feels more comfortable wearing a mask and is instructed by their parent or guardian at home to do so, by all means they can leave the mask on. What we are trying to encourage with all of our classes as much as possible is to get outdoors. We have a lot of green space here that we can utilize. It is not perfect for learning situations, but it is outside, and we will make adjustments to it to make it as best we can for that purpose. When students are outside, can they sit with their friends during this time? There is no time when any of our students can sit with one another unless they are socially distant and wearing their mask. So they can absolutely talk to their friends and sit with them, but they have to maintain social distance and be wearing a mask.
What will band and chorus look like? Music is alive in Cheektowaga Central School District, and it's alive in the middle school specifically. So, do you want to take that one?
Sure.
All right.
So band and chorus will be held, and we will have them in small sections, and they will be taking the same precautions as every other class. They will have 6 to 12 feet apart based on the class they are in, and they will be social distance, wearing a mask. When masks come off, they will definitely be social distance apart so they can partake in whatever activity they are doing. In terms of concerts and those such things, ensembles, and we will not host those right away. In the future, we may look at doing something if we are allowed to, but anything we do in terms of an ensemble, a concert, or anything like that will be done remotely, and it will be performed virtually for all to see all over the world, really, Katie.
All over the world. And just to add to that, we've been collaborating with our band and chorus teachers. They have digital platforms that they implemented earlier in the spring that they continue to want to implement for the fall for ensembles. In addition, I know we mentioned 6 to 12 feet. Anytime the respiratory is raised, we have to maintain 12 feet distance. So there'll be class rooms, there'll be designated areas to maintain that 12 feet opposed to the 6 feet. Our Thursdays, still a shortened day for each building.
Well, Katie, Thursdays are no longer a shortened day. With the schedule hybrid that we have set up, Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays will be regular school days. Depending on which building you're at, there will be a regular school day. Wednesdays will be remote for everyone, and they will also follow a schedule that will be determined as we get closer to the date.
Can students that are remote teaching or remote learning be able to still take band?
So we are working on that with our music department, and I've talked to a parent actually just yesterday about making sure that even though this child is remote, they will still be able to do things virtually with their teachers to be part of band or chorus or whatever the case may be. We want to try to include it and make kids feel as though school is as normal as possible, even though we all know that the new normal is not what we're used to, but we're trying to make it as normal for everyone as we can.
And just a friendly reminder, I forgot to mention earlier, that if you go to our district website, the reopening tab has a tab within it that the music teachers put out what remote and in-person band would look like. So please give a visit. They have a fun video that I think you would enjoy if you haven't already seen it.
In the middle school, can students use lockers? At this time, we have chosen not to have lockers being used by our students. So what will take place is when students come into the building, They will take their belongings to their classrooms and they will keep them there. Teachers will have the ability to kind of decide how that looks. Right now, we see it as the book bag and the jackets will be placed on their chairs or under their desk where they are sitting, and they will remain there for the day. If a student has a lot of things, that is highly unlikely because we are not requiring anything besides your Chromebook to come to school with you. Besides a Chromebook and a lunch in your backpack, we really do not have anything else that is required. So in terms of bringing other things to school, we are strongly against that because the less is better in this case. Everything that we do is going to be on our computer for the most part, so your Chromebooks will be able to handle all of the activities you are doing, both in person and remote. Katie?
Okay. I completed the form for bus transportation. Is it possible to do alternate bus transportation for the afternoon? We are requiring a commitment for a full semester for bus transportation. Switching in and out, and especially splitting a morning afternoon, would be highly complicated for logistics and to maintain social distancing on the bus. So we just want to make it aware that if you opt, can we go back to that question a little bit? Scroll up a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm answering it. Is it possible to do alternate bus transportation for the afternoon? It'd be difficult to schedule that. We could get back to you for any additional special circumstances that you might have.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to accommodate the best we can. But like Katie said, in order for the bus schedule to be set, we can't just throw you on the bus. The schedule needs to be set. But if there are circumstances when you need a ride for whatever reason, getting picked up early or going to somewhere else other than home, at the end of the day, by all means, we can make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Are there any after-school programs for middle schoolers whose parents are working? At this time, we have no after-school activities and no after-school busing available, unfortunately.
So with that being said, right now the after-school programs are not in place. However, that is subject to change as we move on the school year, and we will definitely keep you updated on what that looks like. If your child is involved with anything after school in terms of after-school help with teachers, those will all be done remotely as of now. But as we move on, that could change as well. So please keep your eyes on that website and keep looking at those documents because they are ever changing. Is there a concern that all of these changes will affect the student's ability to stay focused? That's a great question because that's definitely a concern, without doubt. But we feel confident that as this becomes normal for all of our students that are in person, it'll be easier and easier for them to adjust to it. Just like it will be for our teachers to adjust to it, we expect a little bit of a time to adjust, but once they get situated, we feel as though it'll be an easy adjustment for all our students and teachers.
And I know I could speak on behalf of both of us that the social emotional component of returning to school is an utmost priority, not just for the middle school, but for the district. And there's committees and collaborations among our faculty and our counselors to support the changes that will be affecting the students upon first returning.
Right, so to add to that a little bit, I would say that all of our services remain in place. So whether those are done in person if you're here or whether they're done remotely, they will all be still available to our students. Obviously, the safety and well-being of our students is our first priority. We want to make sure we are continuing to service them as we are required to, and that we want to make their experience the best it can be.
Is arrival and dismissal the same time? So?
That's tricky. Well, arrival time is, our schedule to middle school has changed a little bit in terms of what we're going to push out. But the arrival time will be the same in terms of when school starts. So we will be starting at 8 o'clock in the middle school, and then the students will be released. Dismissal will start approximately 2:40, and then we will go from there. Again, if there are different adjustments that need to be made for your specific student or child, by all means, that can be taken care of. It's just a matter of communicating that with the middle school office.
Okay. While remote learning, is there a certain time the students need to log on? When will remote learning start?
So remote learning is still being looked at in terms of how we want to do it. However, there are two terms that you've probably heard a lot about, and one of those is synchronous and the other one is asynchronous. What we plan to do with the middle school is have a combination of both. And what that means is that there will be times when teachers are required to have live conversations, instruction, and just group meetings with their classes so that the students can visit and get an idea of what's happening in the school. Even on remote days when everyone's remote, we are going to make sure that there are times that are synchronous. A lot of the education will be asynchronous as well because there will be stuff posted by teachers whether that's videos, whether that's assignments, things of that nature that will be done at their convenience. Did we hit it all, Katie, there?
Did we address when remote starting?
So
Yes.
school starts,
Remote learning.
absolutely, Katie.
Sorry.
No
My
problem at all.
apologies.
So school will start September 8th, and remote learning will start September 8th as well.
If my child has a different last name than myself, how do you decide what cohort they go into?
So in our system here, in our eSchool database, there is a household name, and that is the name that we used to put our children in their list. So if there is an issue, by all means, you can call us and we can look into it. However, we are trying to keep our cohorts as balanced as possible, but we will try to accommodate the best we can.
Okay. If no lockers, can students carry backpacks for items, especially during winter with jackets? So this actually addresses probably a bigger question as well of what the hallways and classrooms will look like at the middle school. Would you like to jump into that?
Sure. So without having lockers, obviously everything's going to be stored in the student's classroom. And students will be in their classroom for the majority of their day, except for specials when they will travel. Now definitely we'll be traveling for PE, and band and chorus will be a travel as well. The other specials, we're still working on the exact logistics of how that will look. However, since they are in their room the most of their day, they really do not carry their backpacks anywhere for anything. If they do go anywhere, they will have whatever they need with them, and then they can bring it back to their home base. Teachers will be traveling from room to room to provide instruction to students. Students will remain in their rooms for the bulk of the day. When they do travel, there will be lines in the hallway for them to follow in terms of social distancing to make sure that everyone is maintaining proper social distancing from each other.
Will the kids be given a supply list? We do recognize this has not been posted on the middle school website yet. I know Mr. Cullinan had referred to their Chromebooks being their biggest resource to lessen any kind of high touch areas such as pencils, pens, glue, scissors. Although we are currently discussing with each grade level additional supplies that will support their in-person instruction and protocols for making sure that we're not cross-contaminating and students are not sharing supplies.
So we are trying to limit, like Ms. Daniels said, supplies as much as possible. We want to have just a Chromebook if we can. However, we do realize that there are some subjects that may need additional things, and when that is the case, they will be personal items that they will be using. They will not be shared among students, and they will be very limited in whatever they are. The next question says, my son has a mask that kind of looks like a ski mask. Will that be okay for him to wear at school? At this time, we are asking that face coverings are worn to school. So whether that mask looks like the one that Ms. Morris had on earlier, or whether that mask looks like the one that your child may have that looks like a ski mask, as long as it's a face covering right now, that is acceptable for school. Is there a drop and add window for honors classes? Once we have the schedule set and students are assigned to their different windows of what classes they will be in, then we will have the discussion with students to let them know if they are confident where they are, and then we can decide whether or not that there is a good time or a good cutoff date for them to drop a class, such as honors.
What time can students be dropped off?
So the drop-off time at the middle school is yet to be determined. Working on staffing and such, we have to make sure that we have the proper people in place inside the building. Also, with the different protocols in place for safety, we have to make sure that we do not have people just in the building for long periods of time. We want to make sure that they're in time in this building for instruction and not just around the building. However, if things change and we do have programs that will offer additional daycare, as you should say, or just supervision, we will definitely let you know.
Okay. Can you explain in more detail the time my child in 5th and 7th grade should devote to online learning? I know it mentioned grades 5 through 6 are 2 to 3 hours, and then grades 7 through 8 are 3 to 4 hours.
So on our website, you saw that in one of our plans, and it mentioned those hours. So what we want to do is, compared to what we went through last year, so that was across all 3 buildings, it was brand new to everyone. And we wanted to try to make sure that instruction was going on, but we were more focused on making sure that our students were making sure they were busy, reviewing the work that they had learned so far that year, and new instruction was not really pushed out a lot. However, since we have had time to kind of prepare for this year, and now that we're getting closer and we have a better idea of what it's going to look like, we are requiring that the teachers have expectations that are higher than last year's in terms of the time that the kids are required to stay on their Chromebooks to do work. Now, it says 2 to 3 hours for 5th to 6th, and it says 3 to 4 for 7th and 8th. This time will fluctuate a little bit, but basically what we're trying to let you know is that there will be work for your students to do. There will be instruction being pushed out, and we want to make it as real as an experience for instruction and learning as we possibly can.
Whom can I contact about a damaged Chromebook? That is an easy answer. It's Mr. Ron Levere. His contact information is in our plan located on the district website, as well as our middle school plan, also located on the district website.
Great. And there will be a phone number being pushed out. I believe it was in the chat already. The number is 686-3693. That will be activated tomorrow, and all Chromebook questions can go directly to that number, and they will be taken care of very quickly. Next question. Are or will there be any after-school child care programs for students whose parents are working? We talked a little bit about this earlier. At this time, we do not have any after-school programs set up here at the middle school. However, we are looking into possibilities of having some after-school programming so we can have some care for students, but we cannot promise anything, but we will keep you posted on what we do have.
How will busing work for students not in the Cheektowaga district?
So that is an issue that goes directly with transportation. So that was something I would look at our website and look at our plans, and you can contact our transportation coordinator, and they can let you know exactly how to go through that process to set up proper transportation. Next question. Will the grading system be the same as last year, or are they going back to numerical? So when we're meeting with our grade level teams, which we are doing currently, we will decide exactly what is the best fit from grades 5 to 8. As soon as we know that, we will push that out so all parents are aware, as well as students.
What are the class sizes? The class sizes will be at half capacity in the hybrid model.
So roughly that's going to mean approximately 12 kids per classroom. Because in our classrooms in the middle school, we can have 12 desks along with the teacher's desk while maintaining 6 feet of proper social distancing.
Are modified sports happening?
As of right now, all sports in the fall are subject to start September 21st. As soon as we have any more clarification from the state on that, we will let you know. A big issue, and this comes up in sports and other things, is we are wait for what the state tells us we are allowed to do or not to do. So a lot of people have called and asked different questions, and we are doing our best to stay on top of the state regs and making sure we all follow them. Sports is just one of them that we are kind of at their mercy of deciding when we can or can't do. So as of right now, besides our remote instruction that's starting, as well as in person on September 8th, that is the only thing that will be going on at the Cheektowaga Central School District.
We got a great question here. The elementary school is using a specific program when parents are picking up their children. Will the middle school have the same program? We just were collaborating with the administrators over at Union East about the app they are using.
Right, and our intent is to push that plan out and use that app with our families. It is a very simple app, and I believe it will make things a lot smoother for both sides of pickup. So as soon as we have that information, we will post that, and you will be well aware of how that looks.
Who is with the students at outside activities, and how long will they be outside? Does this take away from learning time?
So what we have done this year is we have taken our lunch period and we have chopped it in half, I guess you could say, in terms of it's a full period class, but our lunch is going to be 23 minutes approximately, and our outside activity will also be about 23 minutes. And what that does is it will give our students an opportunity to get outside, to get some fresh air, and to walk around a little bit. We know being in the same classroom all day will be very difficult at times, and it's not something that they're used to. You know, they're used to movement and getting around. We want to make sure that they are outside as much as possible. They will absolutely be supervised by teachers, by aides, counselors, or whatever the schedule calls for when that is the case.
Can you opt your child out of swim and gym during the day?
So these are classes that are mandated and that you have to partake in. If there are medical issues that does not allow your child to take them, then you need to contact us and we'll get the proper paperwork in place, and we'll be more than happy, to accommodate.
Can students bring hand sanitizers and sprays and other types of disinfectants?
So that's a very tricky question because there are a lot of different things out there. In the past, students have always brought their own personal hand sanitizers, and they put them on their backpacks or their keychains and things of that nature, and that is no problem. We encourage that if you like to bring that. If that's a safety issue, that's no problem. In terms of sprays and disinfectants, those things are not allowed to be brought in at this time. Those have to be cleared by the building, and those are something that you need to contact us directly, and we'll let you know if they are or are not allowed. But at this time, we are saying no to any type of sprays and disinfectants until you hear directly from us.
It's important to know that the district has gone to great lengths to ensure the safety of your children, providing hand sanitizer dispensers in the classrooms as well as sprays and paper towels to ensure the disinfection throughout the day.
Each building is working directly with Mr. Bruce Vona, the Director of Facilities, and making sure that the facilities are fully manned with cleaners, as well as making sure that they are fully stocked with cleaning supplies so the kids can use the hand sanitizer we have here and make sure that it is clean and as safe as possible.
Will students be taken out of the classroom to attend a band lesson, or will there only be designated band time?
So we will still have instrument lessons available, right, for students. That will be done, a lot of it will be done remotely. I know a lot of our music teachers have talked to us about doing those, and those times will be set up directly with those students. If there's a way we can do it in person, we will. However, it has to be able to fit into our schedule, and at this time, we are not sure exactly if that will work. But worst case, we will definitely have the instructions being done remotely online.
Another great question. Will there be more details sent regarding remote learning? For example, how our first day will start at the middle school?
Absolutely. You know, we're going to pride ourselves in making sure that we are pushing stuff out as soon as we know the information. And I guess I could apologize now for not having more information out at this time, but what we don't want to do is push things out and then all of a sudden come back and say we're changing this or changing that. We're trying to eliminate that problem by just waiting until we have a definite answer, and then once we push it out, that is how it's going to remain. So as soon as we have our first day laid out, we will send that out and everyone will be on the same page.
Okay. Will there be masks available for students in case one is lost or dropped? Great question, and I think I could take this one.
Absolutely.
They will 100% be available based on a case-by-case. We are encouraging all students to come with masks that they feel comfortable with, but the district is providing in case one is lost, dropped, destroyed throughout the course of the day.
Right. So we know that looking around, you see a lot of different types of masks that we heard earlier. We want their students to be as comfortable as possible. So if you have a mask at home, we encourage you, bring your mask. In the case that you may not have one, for whatever reason, we will have ones to provide, but we are not able to do that on a daily basis to all students. So we strongly recommend on a daily basis that parents make sure their kids have a mask on when they're entering their school bus or when they are being dropped off at school.
Will the kids have an assigned desk in class?
So that'll be up to how the teacher wants the room to look, but with 12 desks being in the classroom and to make it more of your personal space, I would imagine most rooms will be, you come in on the first day, here is your room when you are in here, here is your desk while you are in here, and that would be where you will stay. In the classroom with the students, when they are sitting 6 feet apart, obviously 12 is a very low number compared to what we're used to, but this will allow for individual attention to students, and will also make it easier for you to come in, find your spot, sit in it, and remain there without any issues.
If you requested bus transportation, but will be able to pick up your child on occasion, how do we notify the school? Written note brought in by a child in the morning, calling the front office?
So all those ways are actually possible. So what we're going to do is, and this new app that we're going to try to push out before the beginning of the school year is another way that we'll be able to find out if this is going to happen. So again, communication is key to make sure that you're on the same page with us. If this comes up, we can handle it, we can accommodate it. We just need to make sure that we know with enough advance notice so we can take care of it.
In addition to that, we will be pushing out more information about the app, the Dismissal app, and there will be an opportunity to notify the school through that app. More information will follow.
This is a repeated question, but if you could clarify that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're just waiting for our next question here to be posted. Again, if there's any questions, make sure you type them into the box there, and we will get to them as soon as we see them and try to help the best we can to answer any questions.
It's not connecting to supply lists.
Okay, so
Sure.
there's an additional question pertaining the supply list for additional clarification.
Okay, so we mentioned earlier that all students, we were fortunate enough in this district that last year we started our one-to-one initiative, and all students have a device. So whether that in the building you are, depends on the device, but in the middle school, we have Chromebooks. Every student has a Chromebook. So that is your number one supply item. You're responsible to bring that item every day to and from school. And that includes bringing the charger as well, so you can make sure that you stay locked and loaded and ready to go. Now, other supplies will be per class basis, and we are trying to limit those as much as possible to avoid the sharing of items and to make things easier for you at home. But as we are made aware of different items that we are definitely needing, we will push that out to the families.
That's okay.
I'm concerned that some kids won't follow the mask rule and distancing rules set in place. What happens when kids do not follow that rule?
All right, so we have a question. We're having some internet issues at the moment, but a question came about concerns that parents are having about other children in the class possibly not following the mask rules and norms for wearing it and maintaining social distance.
So it's pretty simple from our standpoint. If the child does not understand what the rules are and the expectations are, then we will definitely explain them to make sure they understand them. Once we know that they have an understanding, which they will from the beginning, then we will ask that student will be taken off our in-person instruction and be put on remote learning. We cannot put any other student's safety or health in jeopardy by someone else, so we will make sure that those that are here are following our rules and expectations on a daily basis.
Okay, Mrs. Hamels, another question?
Keep them coming.
Who can I reach at school to discuss cohorts?
Okay, so you can call us in the main office here at 686-3660, and we will direct you on who we are dealing with to talk to about making sure your cohort is the best fit for you. Again, we cannot guarantee that we can move people around. However, in specific cases, we will look at it and see if it works.
Are students required to turn cameras on during Zoom meetings?
So this year, we are having, in the past year we used Zoom for a lot of our meetings. This year we will be changing over to Google Meets, and there will be requirements that when you are on certain groups and certain instruction time, that cameras are on, so we make sure that the teachers are able to follow you and that make sure that you are following what we are doing in that lesson. If there are circumstances that come up, we will definitely deal with it, but the expectations will be laid out in terms of what we want from our students at home to make sure they are properly following what is being laid out. With this being so new to everyone, even though we did have some of it from last March to June, it's still very new to a lot of people, and being in the middle school and being at that age from 5th to 8th grade, it's not easy to be able to follow something online and to follow that instruction. So with that being said, we want to make sure it is very easy for our students to make sure they follow as best they can what is being done by the teacher. So if we put expectations in place and protocols for our different meetings, we want to make sure that they are followed, and we will do our best to assist to make sure that is done.
Okay, will there be a 5th grade orientation? Mr. Cullinan and I are right now in the process of planning and collaborating. There will be an orientation. We have not solidified if it will be completely virtual or if there will be an option to attend remotely as well in person. And we will post that to the middle school website, as well as don't forget to follow us on Twitter. That information will go out on a robocall as well once a date is confirmed.
And by all means, we would love to be able to do that in person, and that's what we are striving to try to set up. It's definitely going to look different than what your usual orientations look like. However, if we can do it in person, we will definitely do so. Next question. What is the protocol if a child is sick, whether strictly remote learning or in school? So, if your child is sick, by all means, you need to continue to follow the protocol and let our school office know that they are sick. We will be tracking attendance on a daily basis. If they are sick, then obviously they will have to make up the work just like they would if they were in school. We're trying to keep it as normal to school as possible. So if that means you are remote and it's sick, you still need to be responsible for the work that you missed. If you are obviously in person, you can't be in school, then that is understood as well, because that happens, but you will also be responsible to make up your work. So we're going to try to follow the protocol that's been in place in schools. So here's a question asking it to restate whether we're going to have band and chorus concerts. So without directly having my music staff with us right now, I can tell you that if we do have any band or chorus concerts, they will be done virtually, right? They will not be done in person as of right now. If things change and we get different guidelines from the state that we're able to do such events, we will. But as of right now, anything that we do band or chorus-wise in terms of concerts will be done remotely.
Will the kids who are accepted into Honor Society still get inducted and or the award?
So any student who receives this honor, obviously we want to make sure they are honored and they get their recognition. In terms of the inductions and the awards, those ceremonies obviously have taken on a different twist in the last 8 months or so. So we have to make sure that we're not going to commit to anything. However, we'll try to do everything we can to make sure the recognition is out there and kids receive what they rightfully deserve.
How do we handle doctor appointments on a remote learning day or even a hybrid day? As we always encourage, full communication with the teacher is imperative, as well as calling the office as you would if your child was in school and had a doctor appointment and was coming in late or needed to be picked up early.
Right, and as we would encourage you to try to make all appointments as best you can for after school hours, we also realize that's not always possible. So if there are appointments that come up, obviously family first, health first, we'll make sure those things are taken care of, and then we can make up for the instruction that is missed at a later time. Okay, so far we have no new questions coming in. I hope that we met all of your concerns today and we answered all the questions that you may have had. I just want to add that as we move on here, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, that with the way remote learning and the hybrid model is being laid out, it's ever changing. We are trying to stay up as best we can with the regulations that we are receiving from the state. As things change, we will update all our items on the website to make sure they are up to date and as current as possible. We also want to let you know we are more than happy to field phone calls in our office to make sure that we are communicating with our families so they are comfortable and they feel fully safe coming into school. If they choose that option, and if they choose remote, that's fine as well. We just want to make sure that we are getting instruction to our students so that learning can continue from the 5th through 8th grade levels. Anything to add, Ms. Daniels?
No, we look forward to communicating and collaborating with you in the future. Again, I just would reiterate, please, any other further questions, don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's via email or calling the office. We're happy to return your phone calls.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining today. We'll wait a couple seconds here to see if any other questions come in. If not, again, the middle school team is here for you. Please reach out and let us know if anything comes up.
Will students in biology be doing labs?
That's a great question. So, will students in biology be doing labs? We are planning with our science department when we meet how that will look. So that means that a scheduled day may change a little bit in terms of science, so we are still getting lab work done. However, we understand that since it happens usually in a specific lab, and those rooms are not really conducive for normal classes besides the labs, we will have to make that adjustment as the schedule warrants. And we will do that as it comes up, and we will definitely let you know and let the students know what is needed for those lab days if that is how we set it up. Again, when we talk with our science department, we will utilize them to kind of tell us what will work best and what they feel most comfortable doing, and we'll go from there.
Hot off the press, are all subject areas being shortened?
I'm trying to figure out shortened how here, Kate. What do you think? What do you think that means?
I'm thinking, is it going to be shortened class periods? Is it going to be shortened day? Maybe going back to that original question about our students in middle school following a traditional schedule.
So we mentioned a little bit earlier, we are following our traditional schedule on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday. No plan to shorten any subjects. We are planning to roll them all out as we would a normal school year and make sure that everything is being pushed out. If things change in terms of how we approach Wednesday and how that remote day looks for everyone, we will let you know. But as of right now, that day is also going to be a remote day for everyone, and work will be pushed out. Whether that means synchronous or asynchronous is to be determined as we get closer to the actual date. I hope that answered the question.
All right, we see that the chat is coming down to 0 questions at this time. Again, we're kind of waiting it out because we want to just make ourselves as available as possible. We really appreciate your time attending at 11 o'clock in the middle of the day. That's it for
That's it for us. So we would recommend if you have children that are in other grade levels, whether that be at the high school or Union East, you join their town hall meetings, which take place later today. The high school is at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and Union East takes place tonight at 7 p.m. If there are questions that come up with the middle school, again, you can reach out to us directly, and we will be more than happy to get your answer. And if we don't have it, I can guarantee you we will get it for you and get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to this upcoming school year. As we all know, it's going to be very unique for everyone, even more unique than it was last year when March hit us, but we are going to be prepared as best we can, and we will roll out to make sure we do what's best for our students here at Cheektowaga Central.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, everyone.